Have you ever landed on a website and just felt nothing? Like it could be anywhere in the world or maybe nowhere at all. Well, today we're going to talk about a really powerful way to change that. We're going to break down how the landmarks in your own backyard can be the secret ingredient to building a truly unique online brand, creating some serious trust with your users, and maybe most importantly, crushing your local search rankings.
All right, so here's the game plan. First, we're going to dive into the why, the psychology that makes this whole strategy tick. Then we'll get into the what, how you actually translate physical buildings into a digital language. After that, we'll cover the how, the practical steps for getting this stuff onto your site. And finally, we'll talk about the big kahuna, winning at local SEO. Let's do it. So first things first, we've got to get into the psychology of it all. To really make this work, you need to understand the deep-seated reasons why connecting your brand to a local landmark is just so incredibly effective. And it all comes down to this really cool concept from architecture called genius loci, which is basically the unique spirit or vibe of a place. It's what makes a spot feel special. The problem? Most of the internet today is totally placeless. It's just built on these generic templates that have zero connection to the real world. So, I want you to ask yourself a tough question. Think about your own website. Does it feel like it actually belongs to your community? Or is it just another anonymous site floating out there in the digital ether? You see, that feeling of placelessness creates this invisible wall between you and your visitors, right from that very first click. And this is where local landmarks become your ultimate trust-building hack. First, there's this thing called cognitive fluency. It just means our brains love what we already know. Seeing a familiar landmark instantly makes people feel comfortable with your brand. Second, you get to borrow the authority of that landmark. I mean, it's been there forever, right? It feels permanent and stable. And finally, it's just an undeniable, rock-solid signal that you are who you say you are, a real, genuine part of the local scene. Okay, so we've got the why down. Now it's time to roll up our sleeves and get into the nitty-gritty what and how. This next part is all about creating what you could call a designer's lexicon, a repeatable system for turning brick and mortar into brilliant digital assets. And look, I really want to drive this point home. We're not just talking about grabbing a postcard picture and slapping it on your homepage. No way. To do this right, it's a much deeper process. It's a process of translation. We're not just mimicking the landmark, we're learning to speak its language. And we've got a killer 4-step process to do just that. It's all about deconstruction. We're going to analyze its form and structure, break down its materials and textures, pull out a really sophisticated color palette, and then we'll pick out fonts that feel like they were born from the building itself. So step 1 is all about form. I want you to look at a landmark and see its bones, its DNA. See the strong vertical grid of a skyscraper? That can become the inspiration for a super clean, professional website layout. Or maybe it's the smooth, elegant arch of a bridge. Well, why can't that inspire the shape of your buttons or section dividers? All right, step 2, materials and texture. This is where we get to translate that feeling of a place into something you can see on a screen. That rough, solid feel of old stone, that can become a beautiful, subtle background pattern. That sleek, reflective shine of glass and steel, you can capture that perfectly with a modern, stylish gradient in your design. Okay, step 3, color. And this is where things get really, really smart. Instead of just grabbing a few colors, we're going to build 3 different palettes. First is the material palette, pulled straight from the building's stone or brick. Then the environmental one, from things like the sky or the trees around it. And my favorite, the atmospheric palette, those amazing accent colors you only see at sunrise or sunset, perfect for call to action buttons. And last but not least, step 4, typography. Think of your fonts as the architecture for your words. It's all about matching the vibe. If your landmark is a grand classical building, you'd go with a stately serif font like Garamond. If it's a sleek Art Deco tower, you'd want a clean geometric sans serif like Futura. You see? Every little detail works together to tell the same story. All right, so we've built our design toolkit. We've got our shapes, textures, colors, and fonts. Now for the fun part. Where do we actually use all this stuff? Let's talk practical website implementation. And let me tell you, the difference this makes is night and day. On the one hand, you've got the generic site, stock photos, boring templates, no real story. On the other hand, you have a landmark-driven site. It's got unique photography, all those cool thematic UI details we just designed, and it's telling a story that's deeply rooted in the community. One is forgettable, the other is a destination. So if you're wondering where to start, here are the 3 biggest bang-for-your-buck areas to hit. First, that hero section at the top of your homepage. Please get a unique photo taken. Second, sprinkle those little UI and UX details everywhere. Buttons, icons, backgrounds. And third, user content. Weave the landmark right into your About Us story and your blog posts. Okay, now for the part you've been waiting for, the technical payoff. This is where all that creative work starts paying dividends in a big, big way, especially when it comes to getting found on Google.
And I cannot stress this enough. What we've been talking about is so much more than just making things look pretty. This entire process is a systematic, incredibly powerful technical SEO strategy. You're basically creating all the local signals that search engines are desperately looking for.
So what's happening under the hood with your SEO? Well, first, it's a massive boost for your EEAT. That's Google's metric for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. You're proving you're a real local expert. Second, all those unique photos you took, they become powerful geotagged assets. Third, you can use local schema code to explicitly tell Google, hey, we're right next to this famous landmark. And finally, you end up creating all this amazing hyperlocal content that helps you rank for super specific local search terms. And here's a little pro tip for you, something you can go and do literally right now. Before you upload any of those custom photos, make sure you optimize them. Give them descriptive file names, write specific alt text, and this is the big one, make sure they are geotagged with GPS coordinates. That's hard data proving to Google exactly where that photo was taken. Okay, let's wrap this all up. We've gone from the psychology of why this works to the design process, all the way to the technical SEO benefits. The goal here is nothing short of a complete transformation of your online presence. So here's the big idea I want you to walk away with. You're not just building another website. You're creating a digital space that has its own spirit of place, its own genius loci. You're turning what could be a generic online shop into a trusted, memorable, local destination. You become a digital landmark in your own right. So I'm going to leave you with a little challenge. The next time you walk or drive through your town, I want you to look at those familiar landmarks with new eyes. Don't see them as just buildings, see them as a brand strategist would. Because it turns out your single most powerful branding asset might just be waiting for you right down the street.